Welcome to Park Bench Interviews, hosted by Randy Goodman, Harvey Callis Real Estate, your real estate professional. Get to know our community, our businesses, products, and services that will elevate your life. Please welcome your hostess, Randy Goodman.
Hey everybody, it's Randy Goodman here from Harvey Callis Real Estate, and I am super excited to be speaking with my good friend Alex Makarski, who lives just around the corner. Alex is a Google Ads lead generating expert, and I can't wait to hear all about it. So thank you, Alex, for being here with me.
That's my pleasure. Always great to speak with you.
You know what? I have to tell everybody a secret, because the very first interview that I was ever the star of, I'll call, you actually hosted that interview.
Yeah, I made you come on an interview.
So thank you for that, because it's pretty funny, when people talk about going back and, failing until they get better at it, or they're so nervous about doing an interview, and you go back and listen to them and then see how you've evolved over time. It's so funny,
It's all about doing it, right? You only get better by doing it.
Exactly. And you're the one that told me that. It was like, who cares? Let's just do it. And
Yeah.
and I still share it. So
Still works. So good. Yeah.
It was good information. It might not have been the most exciting interview on my part, but here we are. Okay, we'll have lots of excitement here. So thank you, Alex, for being on with me. Now, I have a huge amount of respect for you, because you not only a good friend, but you are also brilliant at marketing and generating leads for people. So can you first tell us, how did you get into this realm of business? Give us a little history on you.
Well, I kind of fell backwards into this marketing thing. I have an engineering degree from Russia and a couple of successful careers in IT as a CTO of a consulting firm with clients like Procter & Gamble, McDonald's, wow, Siemens, yada, yada. Like all the big ones. And then in Canada, I had a similar path. Started as a consultant for a company, ended up being what they called me a senior manager when I was in charge of a bunch of things. And the marketing department needed help, so I decided to help them out. Started learning more about marketing and realized, gee, this is the biggest lever business can have. And I realized there was a lot of math involved, a lot of science, and a lot of art as well. So I kind of found myself drawn to both the science aspect and the art aspect. And at some point decided that if I can do it for one company, I can do it for a bunch of them. So I quit my job and started consulting small businesses. And it was a long and convoluted journey to where I am today. But yeah, there are some interesting businesses that I worked with over the years, and some really bad mistakes I've made and wasted a lot of time and money, like chasing certain shiny balls, which I'm sure a lot of you listeners can attest to as well. So yeah, it didn't happen all in one day. The path wasn't necessarily clear to me, and took me a while to find my spot under the sun. But basically, a few years ago, decided to double down on all this Google Ads stuff. Back then it was called AdWords. And I had a couple of clients where it was kind of like an outsourced marketing department as a freelancer. Okay. There was a company from the Silicon Valley, from Palo Alto, called Stackstorm, with like really big clients like Target and Cisco and Netflix. And I was pretty much their marketing department. And at the same time, a friend suggested an idea that became a local business here in Toronto, a company called TV Installation Experts. Right. So I jumped into this thing. My job was making the phone ring, and his job was, making everything else happen, like after the phone rings. So that was our That's how we came together. And that company we started back in 2000, I think, 12. So in 7 years we sold it to one of our workers, and still around today. And we did Second City and St. John's Ambulance, and like
Wow.
a bunch of really interesting clients in the B2B space, and hundreds, probably thousands of residential customers. But basically my job was just lead generation. And, after that, like talking to potential clients about their business, they would go like, how do you understand my business so well? Well,
Right.
dude, like I was you, like for, 7 years, I learned to do this marketing stuff on my own nickel. So, when I take care of your budget, like I'm basically going to treat it like my own. Right. So
Right.
that's the path that I took.
So you've also worked and learned from some pretty big, famous people in the realm.
Well, of course, yeah. You find your teachers. You very quickly discover who to follow, who to listen to, who not listen to. There are a couple of groups that there's a bunch of people I follow, obviously, but the big names for me, the big organizations where where I got a lot from them, and I give back to them. So Perry Marshall from Chicago, like he's the author of the original definitive Google book on Google AdWords.
Right.
So he's been my guru, and he's become my client, and like I'm on the faculty of his seminar that's coming up, which will probably happen virtually now and not live.
Right.
And there's another organization called AdSkills. Justin Brook is a guy like whose name on it, like it's his brainchild. So I'm one of the guardians in their pro league. So I help newbie digital marketers and newbie digital media buyers, which is what we call them ourselves, like people who drive paid traffic.
Right.
So I help them, with their questions and businesses and stuff.
Nice. Wow. Okay. So you are clearly very passionate about this. I know you've built different businesses and helped them grow their leads into even the hundreds of thousands numbers. And you're right here in Richmond Hill.
I am.
Awesome.
Yes, I am.
You're local. So, Alex, what are you passionate about? Like besides this lead gen and the marketing, what else gets you moving?
Well, I kind of like, I like people who wrestle with big questions about how this world works, not just business, not just marketing, but like in general. And a lot of these things are interconnected. So the aforementioned Perry Marshall, he came out with a book called Evolution 2.0 a couple of years ago. So I was on a team to launch that book like when it came out. And there's a $10 million prize attached to the book right now with some really famous scientists on the board, both from the atheist panel and the religious panel. And the purpose of this prize is to figure out how to synthesize DNA in a bathtub, so to speak. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that's going on there. I was in Iceland in July of last year, and there were some really interesting people that I was really excited to meet from the Royal Society in the UK. Like it's like this is the kind of stuff that really gets me excited. Books like Anti-Fragile by Nicholas Nassim Taleb. I've been just rereading it before all this Corona stuff hit us. I was rereading this book for the second time, and like it's just like it's for like this book was foreshadowing what we're going through right now, like a lot of stuff that's happening right now. Like it's been foreshadowing this stuff back in 2014, I think, is when this book came out.
Right.
So yeah, totally excited about this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's like marketing is just it's a very interesting litmus test for, like we call it marketing, but it's much bigger than this. It's a leading indicator of how agile you are, how how nimble and anti-fragile you are, or how fragile you are, right? Because as soon as this corona hit, there's a bunch of industries that just got totally wiped out.
Mm.
There's a lot of agencies
Yep.
that lost all their clients. Like last month, we lost about, I'm gonna say we, it's not the world, we're a small team of 5 people right now. So it's not just me. So last month we lost about 30% of revenue, but now we have replaced all that, and actually, and like looks like it's going to be a record month for us ever. Not just
Wow.
this.
Wow.
Like obviously, like we still need to collect some of that revenue. So
Yep.
which so I'm totally aware. It's day by day, hour by hour kind of thing.
Right.
But overall, like as an agency, there's a lot of demand for what we know and what we do. And there are a bunch of sectors of the economy that are growing right now, even in the middle of this pandemic.
Right. Right. Yep. And you know what? It's going to make people get maybe a little more creative on what they can do during this time, and could permanently change the way people do business in the future. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think our world is going to look very different when this is over. It's not going to come back to the same old normal that we knew
Right.
before the lockdown. Like we will learn so many new skills. There will be so many new businesses created, and obviously there's going to be a lot of negative as well. For some time, like we'll have a lot of people who will not have a job anymore. We'll have a lot of people who have lost their businesses.
Right.
And my heart goes out to them. This is just one of those events that there's going to be, the time before the pandemic and the time after the pandemic.
Right.
And there's going to be a clear line, the before and after, and the world is going to look very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, like I don't have a crystal ball, or if I do, like it has a very spotty record. So I don't really rely on it too much. But like I'm able to, like, being an agency, only working with a bunch of clients from different industries and different countries, even, like it gives you a vantage point to see like what's changing, what things are going, what's working, what's not working, what's on the way out and what's on the way in. Like I don't know if you want to go there. I can talk a little bit about that. Like
sure, you can touch on it if you want.
Yeah, so like it's obviously a lot of things are going virtual. Like there's Zoom weddings going on right now. There's Zoom church services going on right now.
Right.
Like this is real. This is not a joke. Like a couple of months ago, that would be funny. Nowadays, this is a huge need that someone can provide. Like, whether for profit or as a volunteer service. Like I know friends who actually help, congregations learn how to get on Zoom, for their church stuff.
Yep.
This is very real, right?
Yep.
E-commerce, like there's a bunch of e-commerce that's not needed anymore. Like a lot of luxury stuff. People don't really have much of a chance to show off anymore, like, like fancy clothes or stuff like that. But there's a lot of stuff that has become a huge necessity. Anything for home office, anything for home in general, because you're spending so much more time at home, right?
Yep.
We have one client where they have to really quickly launch their e-commerce because, like in the past, they sold through a lot of dealers. So we ran the ad account for the U.S. and Canada last year, and we smashed a bunch of sales records through that. But that was still a small amount of the revenue compared to what they did in sales through their distributors, through their retail network. Well, that retail network doesn't exist anymore. Like all the stores had to shut down.
Right.
So they, like, in order to move their inventory, they have to go online and start selling direct. So we have seen a huge growth there right now.
And I think that, just to interject, I think that like grocery stores, for example, that were already delivering online couldn't handle the abundance of orders that were coming in, and have ended up canceling numerous times. I mean, me myself, I ordered a few times online and all of them were canceled because they
Yeah,
just couldn't keep up with the orders. So I was wondering, like, okay, for the first month, how the heck are people getting food and stuff, because you couldn't even get your delivery to come and you wouldn't know it. You know, you'd have to wait 2 weeks for the delivery, and then you wouldn't find out till maybe a couple days before that it wasn't coming. So now you've waited all that time, like,
yep,
you know, so even companies that were online already are still having a hard time. So it's not just the
for
people
sure.
who
Well,
are having to convert to being online, but also ones who are already there couldn't handle it. So
absolutely. Yeah, they stretched thin, and yeah, they're struggling with the logistics because they didn't expect the demand to grow so rapidly.
yeah,
So there's definitely an opportunity. Amazon has de-emphasized or deprioritized all non-essential deliveries,
yes,
which
yes,
means that that's a huge opportunity for someone who wants to launch their e-commerce brand.
right,
That's a huge opportunity right there. A lot of money has left the internet. Like a lot of big advertisers, corporate enterprise advertisers, stopped spending money.
hmm,
About 30% of Google shopping ads were uh, Google Shopping ad spend was by Amazon, like prior to the pandemic. So now Amazon pulled out
right,
completely, or to a significant degree. So that basically click prices are at the level of probably around, I would say they were back in 2014. So, like we do a lot of lead generation for real estate in
right,
different metro areas,
okay,
mostly in the U.S. And our lead prices are probably 30 to 35% less than where they were even a month ago.
right,
And these leads are as strong as ever. So lead generation works. Prices are more affordable. Um, sure, it may be a little harder to get an appointment, but those leads are way cheaper, right? So the economics still work and look very favorable.
hmm,
So a lot of opportunities like this. Obviously, like insurance is going to be huge in the coming months.
yeah,
Anything related to, extracting equity, taking equity out of your home, refinancing, any type of financial products are going to be big. We're not playing in that space right now, but I know people who do, and there's a lot of activity there right now.
hmm, yeah, absolutely. So if, like, who's your target audience? So who would you work with?
Um, well, that's the thing. We didn't have a vertical focus last year, which felt like it was a bit of a curse because agencies that did have this vertical, presence and specialization, it was way easier for them to scale.
Okay.
Like it felt like we had to work 3 times as hard for half the money because we
Right,
didn't have two clients that were the same. But when things changed, when then the law of gravity was tweaked with, so to speak, all of a sudden like that became a blessing because we were much more diversified, and we did lose some clients, like only Silicon Valley,
right,
VC backed type software deals. Like they hit the pause button real hard and real fast.
right,
um, we still have some client, like we have a client right now that paused the ad spend, they're coming back to do a launch. um, I doubt it's going to last for more than a month. Like I think it's going to be a one-time project, and then it's going to be they're going to take a breather, until they understand what's going on.
right,
Most likely, again, if they continue, that would be great. But like where we see a lot of growth, like I said, it's primarily e-commerce and a lot of different type of real estate lead gen. That means a motivated seller, we buy ugly houses type of stuff. Um, uh, like general real estate agent type of stuff, a buyer seller in certain metro areas, and turnkey investments as well. So those are the kind of like real estate related verticals we're in right now, like with the
okay,
clients.
okay, awesome, awesome. So is there like a central website or somewhere that people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, my name, alexmakarski.com, AlexMakarski at Gmail. Oh, at I no, so it's alex@alexmakarski.com. What am I saying? I confused. So it's alexmakarski.com, or my email, alex@alexmakarski.com.
Okay, nice. Okay. Perfect. No Gmail.
No Gmail. Forget Gmail.
That's hilarious. Okay, and you also, I mean, you do a lot of business in the city and all over the world, but you also give back. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, well, like I said, I help people who are just starting on the path of becoming a digital media buyer pro, like digital, like paid advertising. So there's a couple of groups where I answer people's questions, and sometimes jump on a Zoom call like this, and like they share their screen, and I help them out with their campaigns. Like I've done some volunteering through an organization called Futurepreneur here in Canada, and I helped out a couple of local young entrepreneurs who needed help launching their business.
Nice.
With coaching and advice and that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it's a good feeling to be able to share your expertise and have somebody looking up to you for more info.
Well, I just hope that, we hope to help someone avoid the mistakes that you've made early on.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's a great point to give people out there when they're starting a business, no matter how old you are. If you're starting a business, find somebody who's done it and is successful at it, and try to get mentored by them. And if you can't get mentored by them, then get them to coach you, get them,
Exactly.
work with them any way that you can, because it'll skyrocket you and also stop you from making some of those mistakes that they made along the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that you're bound to make too. So is there any advice or tips or anything you'd like to say to everybody before we sign off?
Oh gosh, I wasn't ready for this, but the main thing is test any assumptions. Like I am not a genius who can predict which way. Like I've been doing this for over 2 decades now. You show me 2 ads and ask me to guess which one is going to work better. I'm probably going to guess wrong.
Right.
So I don't trust myself, even having spent 2 decades in this profession. So let numbers do the talking. Let the numbers steer your guide your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Set up small experiments that will not bankrupt you. Like don't
Right.
go all in. Like at different stages in your business, like the only difference between like being a tiny little business that's just starting out and the big business with a lot of cash is that a big business can take bigger risks.
Right.
That's the only difference, really.
Yeah.
So understand where you're at and take risks that are proportionate to where you are at, and just little by little find what works, and then keep growing what works, and just kill things that don't work early.
Right.
That's all.
Right. Good advice. Good advice, because it doesn't matter how much of an expert you are, you never know until you've tested.
You don't.
Right? You've got to do your testing and see what works and what doesn't work. So, yep, I totally agree with you. Thank you for that advice. It's great advice. So thank you, Alex, so much. Please tell us your website again.
My name, alexmakarski.com, AlexMakarski.
Awesome. And all Alex's links and whatnot will be on this interview page. So
awesome.
You can get a hold of him any way you would like to. And thank you so much, Alex, for being on with us.
Great to see you. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this interview hosted by Randy Goodman. We hope you will take action and connect with the incredible business people and leaders in our community. And remember, Randy is always here to answer any questions you have regarding your real estate needs. Be sure to register on the website and stay up to date on what's happening in your area at parkbench.com/millpond.